Good evening and welcome to Horror Time. This is another episode of Scary Stories to Fall Asleep to. Before getting into tonight's episode, remember to subscribe to our channel and turn on notifications. And now, without further ado, tonight's story. My parents' old house and stuff I found buried in the backyard by 4th Degree Night from Reddit/True Scary Stories. I'm not sure if the following story is entirely scary, but it's certainly interesting, creepy, and odd. The house my parents owned when I was born was built during the war years. I'd always heard that many of these types of homes were constructed to house war workers and their families. This is also how the other side of my family came to live nearby, as my grandparents worked in war production. My parents bought the house in the early 1960s and were the second owners. The original owners, who bought the house brand new in the 1940s, were a childless couple. My parents mentioned that, before I was born, this couple would sometimes visit to see their old house. The house was small, with 3 bedrooms and 1 bathroom, on a lot big enough to expand. So, in the 1970s, my parents added a family room, dining room, and additional closet space. The addition was quite obvious, because the main part of the original house had a raised foundation, while the new section was built on a concrete pad. There was a step down to enter the addition. This extension was built either shortly before or just after I was born. My parents only mentioned that it was done in the 1970s. The addition was always a subject of family lore. According to the stories, the workers my dad hired to lay the foundation dug up some strange items just as they were about to pour the concrete. My dad had also asked them to add a patio off the new section, so our entire backyard was dug up, leveled, and prepared for the foundation and patio space. As I mentioned, I was either not born yet, or was just a baby when all this was happening. However, there were always stories about the items unearthed during construction, including pieces of wood, bits of strange metal, pottery, and even jewelry. Fast forward to when I was in elementary school. Like any boy, I enjoyed digging in the backyard and playing, which always made my mom extremely upset. I could do just about anything else back there, but digging was off limits. One time, while playing with my Hot Wheels, I decided to make a dirt track for them. I went to the side of the house where my mom couldn't see me and started digging. I found small pottery items, what looked like glass beads, and a piece of wood that seemed very old. My older brother found me and told my mom, who got so angry that she made me throw everything away, cover up the dirt, and never dig there again. It wasn't until the year we moved away from that house that I was old enough to really think about what might have been out there. For context, the addition to the house always had a spooky feeling. None of us kids wanted to stay there alone. I remember one time when a cousin, who was about a year older than me, slept over. My mom had one of those huge sofa beds from the 1980s, so she set it up for him in the addition. He didn't make it through the night. He ended up putting a blanket on the floor in our room and sleeping there instead. He said he heard strange noises. We all heard them, saw weird shadows, and sometimes even heard scratching at the windows. Also, I never played in the backyard at night. I never liked being out there after dark. The year we moved away from that house, I overheard my mom and dad discussing the possibility that there might have been unmarked graves on that land, undiscovered when the tract of homes was built. Apparently back in the 1800s, large plots of land in the area were owned by dairy farmers. Before the war, the land was just open space as the farmers eventually moved out. Even earlier, the area had a different name, which was changed as cities formed in the 1910s and 1920s. So, the home I was born into and lived in until middle school may have had unmarked graves on the property. Thank you so much for joining us for another episode of Horror Time. If you enjoyed the video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos. Have a great evening, stay safe, and good night.